In this video, we're going to talk about, is it worth it to gamble on restored books? And what I mean by that is, it worth it to pick up restored books with the intention of removing the restoration to get an unrestored book and have a major increase in value? We're going to talk about a couple different scenarios, some real examples of when you should do it and when you shouldn't do it. And young Marcus and young Riley, my esteemed colleagues and wonderful employees, are on vacation this week, and I'm waiting for a package. So we're going to film this video right here. I'm going to edit this video and I'm going to receive this package. We're going to do it all right here. So thank you for bearing with me on the setup of today's video. But before we hop into it, we have a couple announcements. Congratulations to, oh, there's a bird. Coming in. Congratulations to Dan De La Torre. Dan, you won the YouTube giveaway for January. And we have a brand new giveaway up this month. If you subscribe, comment, and like, you're entered to win 2 awesome slabs this month. And here's the big boy, and in my opinion, the one that was so exciting, Dark Hawk #1. Congratulations to Chris Mattingly. Chris, you are the proud new owner of a 1 of 4 copy of Dark Hawk #1, signed and sketched by Mickey Finnegan. What a cool collectible. Congratulations to you. One other quick announcement. I do have a new trade available. Amazing Spider-Man #129. The first appearance, oh boy, it's a little bit nerve-wracking holding this book, of The Punisher in a 9.8 with white pages. This book is available for sale or trade. Let me go ahead and set that down over there before anything happens. Details over at brycecomics.com for that trade for Amazing Spider-Man 129. While you're there, sign up for the newsletter. We have a brand new giveaway, 2 awesome books this month. So the inspiration for this video was when this book came through my shop, X-Men #1 in a 7.0, this gorgeous copy, signed by Stan Lee with a small amount of color touch. And I did a successful trade for this book to my friend Martin, and Martin's books are the ones that are actually showing up here any moment. So stay tuned to the end of the video to see what books I traded for this X-Men #1 signed by Stan Lee. But first I want to just ask, do you think that we as a hobby are a little too hard on the value of restored books? Typically, the value of a restored book is about half of its unrestored counterpart, sometimes less, sometimes more. And I think that we might be a little too hard on it. I mean, I know that we definitely, should have a difference in value between restored and unrestored books, but I don't think that it should be half. I think that's a little bit too harsh. And of course, it depends on the type of restoration, but it doesn't seem to me that any type of restoration usually has much more than half of the value of a restored book. And sometimes, historically speaking, with these restored books, what would happen is a dealer would get in a new collection, they'd pull out the books, and they'd have their, color touch instruments right there, and they just touch it up and put the books up on the shelf for sale. And back then, for decades in this hobby, restored books were actually desired. I mean, you would pay to have the books restored, and now it just absolutely kills the value of the book. I mean, for this X-Men 1 to the tune of over $10,000 because of just a couple small little places that people, touched it up with a pen. And so my question to you, what I would like to hear from you in the comments, because we as a community definitely, for the most part, don't collect restored books. I mean, most people will tell you, I steer away from restored books. I don't even consider it. I don't collect them. And if that's you, if you're in that boat, I want to know why. Could you just articulate quickly and concisely in the comments, like, why don't you collect restored books? Is it the label? Is it the fact that it's just not its original form? Is it because, it just doesn't go with your other books? So here is possibly yet another reason why we could make the switch to CBCS as a community. If you guys are down to do that, I'm right there with you. CBCS, when they designate a book as restored, they don't give it the dreaded purple label. They give it the same color label as it would normally get. Gold if it's a signature series, blue if it's universal, and they just designate underneath the number that it's restored, and they put on the label the type of restorations, but they don't, taint the book and the presentation of it slabbed with that dreaded purple label of death. I think that's yet another reason that we as a community might want to switch to CBCS. One other possible way to improve the appearance of a CGC one is to have its signature series, because it's just less of that purple showing. It's mostly that orange. And I mean, this book just presents absolutely beautifully. I mean, I think that half off of the unrestored price, and that doesn't even really factor in the Stan Lee signature, is a screaming deal for a book that looks that beautiful. So let's talk about a couple examples of when you should do it. So this book says on the label, small amount of color touch. And I'll put up on the screen where I can see the actual color touch. I'll put up the grader's notes. And my first tip and takeaway from this is that don't be blinded by desire. I talk about that all the time on this video. Don't want something to be true so bad that you ignore what's right in front of you. Don't be blinded by desire by the term small amount of color touch, because in this case, the color touch is small relative to the surface area of the comic book. It's very small, but removing that color touch would destroy the book. Okay, so don't get hung up on the term small. And then the next thing you can do when you're considering removing this is check the notes. They don't always put information in there about even where the color touch is at all. It might just say small amount of color touch on cover. They're very, inconsistent with that. Yet another reason why we might want to switch to CBCS as a community, have better graders notes. I'm kind of assuming that they're better with their graders notes. Leave a note in the comments. Is CBCS better with their notes than CGC? I would assume that they are, because CGC is horribly inconsistent with their graders notes. So if you get a little bit of help from the notes and it shows you where the color touch is, you can imagine what would happen if you cut it out or scraped it off, because you have to either scrape off the color touch or cut it out. And there's plenty of different types of restoration. There's also tear seals and all kinds of different restorative processes that are done to comic books to, improve the appearance of them that have happened mostly in decades previous. And if you get that CGC Guide to Grading Comics, it goes through great detail of each one of the restoration possible techniques and if it can or can't be removed. That's an incredibly useful part of that book. And if this is something that you're considering, I highly recommend that you pick up that book so you can familiarize yourself with the restoration. So the next tip here is that you really have to see the book in person. When I saw this book, pictures online, there was several pieces of the color touch down in the right hand bottom right corner where I couldn't see it through the pictures, but I could with my naked eye. So tip number 2 is you really have to have the book in hand if you're going to make the decision to do this. If you're looking at pictures of a book on Heritage or something, maybe you set yourself a little search for restored books and find ones with those types of restoration that can be removed. You can't make the decision based on the pictures on Heritage, in my opinion. You really have to see it in hand, because a lot of times you'll get it in hand and you'll see things that you didn't see in the picture. So the best way to do this would be cons, to go to cons and don't just pass them by. This could be like a really good opportunity thing to put in your bag of tricks, is when you're at a con, look at restored books. See if you can find one that's a good candidate for color touch restoration removal. So this one is not a good candidate because of the extent of the color touch, but I want to talk about an example of another one that it was a slam dunk, no-brainer. Yes, it's worth it to gamble on it. It was a friend of mine got an AF-15 restored, and it had a small amount of color touch, same exact note, didn't say where, but just small amount of color touch on cover. And he looked at that thing and scoured it, just trying to figure out with a magnifying glass where on this book was the color touch. Could not find it. Finally, one day it was like, I think this is where the color touch is. It's this tiny, tiny little dot. And he took a stab at it, scraped it off, sent it in to be regraded, and guess what? It got a grade bump. It got a half-point grade bump for an AF-15, went from restored to unrestored. It was an absolute slam dunk. So those are the types of things that you want to look for, as ones where you're just scratching your head going, where is this small amount of color touch? So those are a couple examples of when it makes sense to remove the color touch and when it doesn't. Let's turn this camera around and take a look at the trade books that we got for the X-Men #1. So first I want to start with this. He added this to the box. It says, "Gift for Bri. Thank you for being such a class act." And inside of this box, bam, baby, he gifted me this Spider-Gwen #1 with this custom Original sketch by Scott Hanna, signed by Scott Hanna. First solo series for Spider-Gwen. What an awesome, awesome gift. Thank you so much, Martin. Martin and I have done several trades. I did one trade with him for an AF-15, so I just truly appreciate that. It's a pleasure working with you, my friend. Let's get into these books. Some of these are definitely going to be available over on the website, and then some of them I might keep for my next mystery box. I might do my next mystery box where I have like 20 $1,000 prizes or something like that, and these books would be perfect for that. But if they are available, they're up on the website. Use code COLLECT10 for 10% off all in-stock items, excluding big boy books, which is usually anything over $1,000. But we have Batman 227, signed by Neil Adams with this awesome date stamp right there on the moon. Classic cover, homaging Detective Comics number 31. X-Men number 50, White Pages, second appearance of Polaris. Origin of the Beast, and just this classic Jim Steranko cover. Edge of Spider-Verse 2, first appearance of Gwen Stacy as the new Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, 9.6 white pages. As you can see, the non-dark version. Amazing Spider-Man number 50, the first appearance of the Kingpin in a 6.0 with that beautiful white page designation. Nice little bonus on this one. Tomb of Dracula number 10, the first appearance of Blade the Vampire Slayer in a 6. Detective Comics 359, the origin and first appearance of Batgirl in a 7. Beautiful colors on that one. Amazing Spider-Man 194, first appearance of the Black Cat. Journey into Mystery number 89, classic Jack Kirby and Dick Ayers cover, Origin of Thor retold. Only a few issues after the first appearance of Thor, just a classic Silver Age 12 center. Invincible number 1, the first appearance and origin of Invincible and Omni-Man and so many others, 9.6 white pages. Miles Morales, first appearance, Ultimate Fallout number 4 with the custom label, first print in the 9.6. Silver Surfer number 4, just a beautiful 8.5 copy of this classic Silver Age cover. Amazing Spider-Man number 129 in a 9.0 white pages, first appearance of the Punisher and the Jackal. So I am definitely gonna have to pull the notes on this one because this thing looks really sharp. I'll put the notes up on the screen if there are any. Amazing Spider-Man 252, 9.6 white pages, newsstand edition with the custom label. Looks super sharp with that custom label. Nyx number 3 in the 9.6 white pages, first appearance of X-23. Marvel Superhero Secret Wars number 8, 9.6 white pages, newsstand edition, origin of the symbiote, the alien symbiote that eventually becomes Venom. Detective Comics 405 and a 7.5, first appearance of the League of Assassins. Marvel Spotlight number 5 and a 7.5, origin and first appearance of Ghost Rider Johnny Blaze, and the first appearance of Roxanne Simpson. Beautiful 7.5 copy. Amazing Spider-Man number 75 and a 9.0, signed by John Romita Sr. with the custom labels. The old face palm has been selling comics and getting clicks since 1969. Lobo number 1, 9.8, signed and sketched by Simon Bisley, and this book has some surprisingly strong sales for copies with a sketch like this. I think the last recent sale was somewhere around $800. Look at how awesome that is with that custom sketch. I mean, it makes a common, somewhat modern book from 1990 special and unique. I think it's a great remark on this Lobo number 1. Here's some more books that just came in. They were not a part of this trade, but I thought while I have you, might as well show you. Always new inventory coming in, so make sure you sign up for that newsletter at brycecomics.com so you get first access. 9.4 of the first appearance of the original Spider-Woman. 9.8 of the first appearance of Riri Williams, Invincible Iron Man 9. Fantastic Four Annual number 6, 8.5 white page designation on this one for the first appearance of Annihilus and the birth of Franklin Richards. X-Men number 2, second appearance of the X-Men, first appearance of the Vanisher, 6.5. Fantastic Four number 52 and a 5.0, the first appearance of the Black Panther. Amazing Spider-Man 700, the Ditko variant cover, which I believe was a 1 in 200. This was one of the possible covers that they were going to use for Amazing Fantasy 15, so it's kind of a hidden gem in a 9.6, and Black Panther 2, the first appearance of Shuri, in a 9.8. Tons of nuance in this hobby, always something to learn about this hobby, and if you get better at little tricks of the trade like this, you can really increase your collecting experience and have this hobby fund itself so you can buy more comics. I have a link down in the description to my Whatnot page for $15 towards your first purchase on Whatnot. We always have books in the bite now for 15 bucks. So if you're new to Whatnot, come hang out. It's a live shopping experience. We're having a ton of fun, and you can pick up a free book. We're also going to have some exciting shows coming up. I still have to figure out what to do with all the rest of my Ultimate Spider-Man #1s. I'm trying to work something out with Whatnot for some more exciting promotions about that. But thank you as always for sticking with me to the end. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.